Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to our series finale of Wisdom Unveiled, the podcast where I have been taking your questions all this last year. As many of you know who have been following me for quite a while, you know that I like to kind of, these last few years, I like to kind of look back on the year and see what's worked, what's not worked, what you guys like, what you all have been asking for and I get my inspiration from that. So with that, I decided this year that I would like to start the new season a little earlier. I usually do my season, start my season in October, but this year I decided that I was going to go ahead and start it a little bit earlier. I normally do my hiatus on in the month of September. But this year, with the way that my schedule is and my appearances and bookings and all that stuff over the summer, I decided that I'm going to go ahead and take July off, which seems to be the most quiet time to work on writing all of the new shows and offer you something amazing coming beginning August 6th. So, if you hang around, I've got a very special sneak peek for you when it comes to what's happening next. I'm very excited to share with you on what's happening um, this coming next season. Can you believe it's going to be, gosh, my 15th season or 16th season? I'm not even sure. Wait, I'm going to do it right now. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. It'll be, oh, Jesus Christ, my 18th season. Oh, my Lord. 18 years. Oh, my goodness. I guess my anniversary on YouTube, my 18th anniversary on YouTube is coming up. So, yes, if you hang around at the end of today's podcast, we are going to be sharing a sneak peek into my 18th season and what that's going to look like. Today, I decided, since it was the series finale of Wisdom Unveiled, that we'll do something special. As you know, I've always been asking you to send me questions, whether it be magical or consciousness or Wicca or whatever it is, even personal questions. And some of the personal questions I kind of just put aside. Well, today I have picked several of those personal questions, and I thought, what a great way for our series finale then for me to answer some of those personal questions that you all have sent to me. Anyway, as you know, the chat room is open. If you would like to ask your question while the chat is open, you are more than welcome to. And I look forward to hearing any of your questions that you might have, especially as we move into talking about the new season. But let's go ahead and get started. So this first question, I'm probably going to have to put on some glasses here, is from Jenny on YouTube. Hi, Jenny. Um, Jenny is asking me what inspired me to become a spiritual influencer and teacher. Okay, so great question. What inspired me to become a spiritual influencer and teacher? Well, I had no intention of becoming a spiritual influencer. It was the last thing I had on my mind. As far as being a spiritual teacher, I had been teaching since the 90s, whether it be Reiki or Wicca or witchcraft or magic or the occult or, tarot, whatever it is. That's always been a part of who I am. And as I began to explore YouTube and what it had to offer you, as you know, many of you that have been following me for decades almost know that things have always changed. We started off with me doing a lot of interviews and stuff like that. And I noticed that you all really preferred when we spoke about spirituality and when we spoke about personal empowerment and things like that. So the term spiritual influencer, I take with a grain of salt. I think it's just me being me and offer and sharing, my experience, my strength, my hope, everything that I've learned, and hopefully it can impart to you in any way that I can. And if that's what you want to call a spiritual influencer, I'll take it. I think that's great. Um, I hope that by using that word influencer, it means that you're learning, taking notes, and you're applying some of the lessons and some of the skills and tools that I've been offering. But yeah, nothing inspired me to become a spiritual influencer. YouTube inspired me to get online and to um, start sharing some of the education that I've had in this field. I will say though, I will say there is one point where everything changed for me, and this goes way back. I think you'll appreciate this anecdote. This goes way back to MySpace. And I started doing this on MySpace before Facebook was even a thing, basically. And I remember that I was sharing, classes and stuff like that, and lessons and videos on meditation and things like that. And I had and by all means, this is not saying that all Gardnerian high priestesses are like this, but a Gardnerian high priestess contacted me and began threatening me, saying that I had absolutely no right to share this information with the masses, that it was secret information and for the initiated only. And how dare I? And I'll get mine, and you better watch out, and blah, blah, blah. And just from that one little DM, I guess we didn't call them DM back then, I was like, oh, yeah, well, I'll show you. I'm going to share everything. And I'm going to spend my career sharing everything I know. And so if that was an inspiration, I guess you could call rebelling against the dogmatic aspect or a dogmatic outlook of this particular Gardnerian priestess, is what inspired me to start sharing all of this information. And even if it is giving it to you in nuggets, I believe everybody has the right to understand magic, to understand witchcraft, to understand spirituality, to understand consciousness. And I do believe in self initiation. I started off self initiated. Yeah, I got initiated down the line, but I started off as a self initiated solitary practitioner. So, of course, everyone has the right to learn this knowledge and for me to share it. So, I hope that answers question number one. I see that we have RJ on YouTube. Hi, RJ. Good to see you. Thank you for being here. Again, for those of you that just joined us, today is the series finale of Wisdom Unveiled Q&A sessions with Bernard Alvarez, and I've saved all the personal questions you've sent me for today's series finale. Stick around for the end. We're going to do a sneak peek at what's coming next, the new season. Well, I'll share with you. I'll give you a sneak peek of the sneak peek. The new season, I do a campaign every year as far as like what my inspiration is going to be for this next year is going to be the shadow and the light. So stick around and you're going to find out more of what I mean about that. Anyway, so let me get my reading glasses on again so I can read this tiny print. I don't know why I printed it so small. This is from Deep Space 1101 on YouTube. If you're watching, hello, Deep Space 1101. And this is a really good question, and I'm glad somebody finally asked it. How has your diverse cultural background influenced your spiritual journey and teachings? Short answer is it made me eclectic. Um, as many of you know, I am, my race is Native American and Irish, but I was adopted by a Cuban family. So ethnically, I'm a Miami Cuban. And there I was able to grow up surrounded. I won't say surrounded. I don't think my parents were like that. But as you can imagine, Spanish Latinos have their own magic. We had Santa Barbara and all those wonderful saints with the cigar burning in the front and the apples and the rum and the stick and all the little Santeria is what it's called. So I was surrounded by Santeria. I had many of my cousins and aunts and whatnot that were involved in it. Of course, there was a faction of the family that was very much against that, as they were diehard Catholic. I also was raised diehard Catholic, and myself was a diehard Catholic. I was into all the pageantry of it. I went to mass every morning, and all the stuff. So that was a little bit of an influence. Then I learned how Catholicism kind of took all the pagan, the incense and the candles and all that. I'm like, oh, okay, it's gonna slide. I can slide right into paganism. But so growing up in a multicultural background in a multicultural city really introduced me to a lot of diverse spiritual paths. Everything from Rastafarianism to Buddhism to Santeria, and of course Wicca and magic and everything else that I practice and I'm aware of. I'm very grateful. I had the honor of seeing the Dalai Lama once back in the early 2000s, and I had just finished reading Living in the Tibetan Book of Living and Dying, and that really was a very profound book for me. Uh, what it led to, what it led to was a very eclectic and compassionate embracing of every spiritual path. One of the things that I noticed that I was not aligned with, that when I became a born again pagan, so to speak, I noticed that there was a lot of Christian bashing or Abrahamic religion bashing, and I'm not that. You can believe in whatever you want to believe, but I do follow the read. I'm not a Wiccan, but I follow the Wiccan read, and I believe it's a philosophy for all of us: is harm none, do what thou wilt. Now, I knew that I had Native American background in me. I was my family. They must have known, even though they wouldn't admit it until way after my father passed away. Just recently finding out that I am actually the grandson of a Miccosukee prominent figure. I won't go into names because I don't know if they know that I exist. But I am of the Miccosukee tribe of South Florida, or born from offspring of members of the tribe. And but it's funny, I've always been attracted to shamanism, always. My first teacher, and it's very interesting that one of my first teachers was an Algonquin shamanic practitioner. So he was the one that got me very serious about studying shamanism. So now you'll find that a lot of my practice and the stuff that I share with you usually has a nice blend of Eastern philosophies, consciousness, and understanding the world through that lens, as well as shamanic practices and seeing the world through that lens. And of course, pagan earth-based practices, which kind of is an umbrella term for all of the above. So that's what influenced my journey growing up, coming from a diverse background. Um, I see somebody else popped into the chat with a meditative icon. Hi, Trip Z Raven or T Paul. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. Okay, so let's move on to personal question number 3. Can you share a pivotal moment in your life? By the way, this is Lisa on Facebook. Hi, Lisa, if you're watching. Can you share a pivotal moment in your life that significantly shaped your path? I would say the pivotal moment, which you all know very well, especially if you have my book, The Book of One, is that shamanic vision quest that I did. I prepared with my shamanic teacher with it back in 1992. I was 24 years old, and we took what I would consider a scary amount of psychedelic medicine, but it wasn't scary. Well, it was scary at first. It always is. And that was the beginning of the death of my ego. And if you know anything about a shamanic quest, especially if you're using medicine, or if you're doing like an ayahuasca experience or something like that, uh, the death of the ego is a big part of it. And you kind of just have to give up. And that moment that I was like, fine, whatever. I was, my ego was fighting to hold on to my identity and the story of who I am. And, with the medicine being so powerful, I just like threw my hands up in the air and my body just like lifted. I thought I was dying. I literally thought I was dying. I wasn't. I was fine. But in my mind, I was dying. And what I saw after that and the connections that I made with the emissaries of light, that I still work with to this day. They are my spirit guides, and a lot of what you hear from me during these live shows are literally them speaking through me. But that changed everything for me. That made me realize how important each and every one of us are in our role in the piece of this web of life, and how my little web of life is connected to your little web of life, and how everything I say or do and think kind of creates a ripple that shakes that little strand that might be connected to you, and it ripples your strands. And that's the way I saw it in my mind, the way they showed it to me. And then that next day or the day after, I started writing, and I was still connected to the emissaries of light, and I was kind of writing. They were writing through me, and that's how the book was born. It was just an altered state of consciousness, which we revisited a decade later with Annabelle Montalbano, amazing teacher as well, and she transcribed everything that they were saying through me. So yeah, 1992, Shamanic Vision Quest, it changed my life. It made me realize how unimportant parts of me were and how important other parts of me were. And that began the journey to shifting my life to doing what I do now. It was a long journey to get here, but that was the beginning of it. It took me, what, 10, 12 years to begin to do this quote unquote full time, if that's what you want to call it, or dedicating myself to it full time. But that was a great question too. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And how are we doing on time? Good. I just want to make sure I have time to share with you about the new season. But I'm going to get in these last. I only picked 5 questions, so I'm going to get these last 2 in. This is from Adam Fly. I like Adam Fly on YouTube. How do you balance your role? Oh boy, as Reiki master, author, social media personality, and facilities director of your local community center. Thank you. First of all, thank you for acknowledging that I am more than one thing. I really, really, really appreciate that. My role is that of social media personality. My role is that of spiritual counselor and teacher. My role is that of Reiki master and teacher. My role is of the facilities director for the local LGBT community center. My role is I work on projects, and I'm a webmaster for several people. So in any one day, I will be wearing, today, for example, I'm wearing 4 hats. I got another hat I got to put on after today's broadcast. But what I've done is what's important to me in order for me to find balance is to give myself the time in between to, for lack of a better term, alter my state of consciousness. Everything that I do deserves my best. Everything I do deserves my utmost and highest vibration and quality. So, for example, this morning I was working on a project for a social media company. I'm a contractor on certain projects for some techno companies. And so what do? I have my coffee and I focus, and I do that for a couple hours. Sometimes I'll take a nap. I come back and I started preparing for today's show. After this, I'll take a break. I'll do some meditation, and I'll prepare. I'm taking clients after this. I'll be doing working with some clients. And it's just a matter of the secret for me of balancing all these different roles that I have is to honor each of them. And they are not, one is not a greater priority than the other, but I schedule them accordingly to and offer what time I have available in the sense that I can give the most time I have. As you know, I'm also an instructor at Grace School. I also teach workshops here. I also teach workshops online. So I will do, Grace School 2 or 3 times a week and, focus strictly on that. I will work as a facilities director 2 or 3 days a week and focus solely on that in the evening. So and my social media stuff and things that I'm doing. I'm also writing a new book. So I have to schedule out time for that and focus solely on that. I think the key is to honor, I call it my bandwidth. You know how we say, I don't have the bandwidth to deal with that right now. I honor my bandwidth. Yeah, I do work. Most of the time, I'll work 6 days a week, 50, 60, 70 hours sometimes. But I'm doing what I love. So it's not necessarily work, but I also space it out. I make sure I get that hour break in between or 2 hour break in between, and I won't take on more than I'm able to offer. So that's something to think about. Honor your bandwidth, honor your energy, honor the focus that you have available to you that day. And if you can't do it that day, you don't do it that day. You don't. I like the idea of being self-employed because it's like, you know what, I'm not going to do this today. I can't do it. I'm sorry. And oh, you all see me do it. I'm like, I'm not really feeling too well. I'm gonna have to cancel my broadcast. I don't have it in me. But yeah, honor your broadband. Honor what energy you have available, and you can do 8,000 things as well. And then lastly, this is a great one. This is from Annie, and actually, this is a friend of mine who wrote it down and wanted me to answer it. So this is for you, Annie. What advice do you give someone struggling with the challenges similar to those you've faced? Well, what challenges are you talking about? Let's see. I'll go back. I am thinking they're talking about living with an alcoholic. Oh, that's the other thing. I'm very involved in Al Anon as a volunteer. I'm actually going to take on a bigger role with that organization pretty soon. So I'll be the fourth nonprofit I'll be working with. But the challenges I face, I have faced racial bias. I have faced LGBTQ hatred. I face hatred for the spiritual path that I walk. I have faced economic disparity in the past. I have faced, well, quite a bit, quite a bit. Um, when people are struggling, and I will say that the most important lesson that I've learned in facing our struggles or dealing with our struggles, the first thing is to give myself permission. I have to give myself permission to acknowledge I'm struggling. Um, if I'm in denial that I'm going through a struggle, I'm just going to keep pushing it down, ignoring it, and it's going to get worse. And no, I'm not. I'm not drinking too much, or I'm not giving that person too much attention, or no, I'm not in a codependent relationship, or no, that wasn't racial bias, or no, they didn't burn a cross on my lawn because I'm a witch. You know, those. No one's ever burned a cross on my lawn. Close, but no. Um, but to be honest with yourself and how you're feeling and acknowledging the struggle, I don't want to get too 12-steppy preachy, but step one is acknowledging there's a problem. When we acknowledge there's a problem, it gives us permission to feel. And I feel that's probably the biggest thing that we don't allow ourselves to do is to feel. Feel it. You're allowed to feel angry. You're allowed to feel sad. You're allowed to, feel attacked or violated or, um, you know, uh, persecuted, whatever it might be. You're allowed to feel that. Don't let anybody tell you that, that guy that called you a racist slur didn't mean it, or don't let anybody tell you that, that your feelings aren't valid. And that's the point I'm trying to make, that your feelings aren't valid. Your feelings are valid, so feel them. But there's a secret there in that there has to come an acceptance that it happened. When we keep going and replaying it and trying to fix it and trying to make believe that it didn't happen, or trying to fix what broke because our struggles are happening, whatever that struggle might be, we have to come to a place where we accept our struggle as a chapter of our life. It's not forever. It's just right now. The struggle is only happening right now. I'm going to get through it. I always do. And that's where the hope comes in. I believe in hope. I believe in faith. I know a lot of people don't, but to have faith and hope, and you can even use your experience to tap into that faith and hope that the struggle that you're currently going through is a new struggle, that it hasn't been with you your entire life, and that you've had past struggles of which you have overcome. There is your hope. There is your faith. I've been through worse, I've been through similar, or I've gotten through to the other side of the struggle. One day, it little by little it begins to dissipate, and you have to have trust, you got to have faith, and you got to have hope. I feel the other thing, which was a big lesson for me, was owning responsibility for my part in it. There's always, three sides to every story. There's his side, their side, his side, my side, and the truth, as they always say. Somehow, some way, it's a part of our life. And I'm not victim blaming. I don't want to be getting emails that I'm victim blaming. But what I'm saying is that we had a role in it, and our role could be in the way that we reacted to it. That could be your role. Our role could be, for example, living with an alcoholic or an addict, making believe that it's okay, or yelling at them and screaming at them because you love them and you want them to stop doing drugs or whatever. But that's not helpful. That's not going to help them. So, taking responsibility for our actions and our struggles, whether they be emotional or, physical, material, outward. I believe that we all have the ability to overcome struggles. And I also feel that while it is our story momentarily, don't let it become your lifelong story. A lot of us get stuck in letting it be our story. Oh, I don't know. I had I mentioned it a couple weeks ago, actually. I have a heat sensitivity because I had a heat stroke in my 20s at a festival in Miami, and, drinking out in the sun. I was in the hospital for 2 weeks, not good. But because of that, now I have heat sensitivity. So it's 10 degrees warmer for me no matter where I am. And everyone's like, it's freezing. I'm like, no, it's not. But but it, but but I don't identify with that. It's not who I am. It's a part of who I am. It's part of who I am. My long hair is a part of who I am, but it's not my identity. It's not my story. Me sharing, the series finale of, Wisdom Unveiled, this Q&A podcast, is not my story. There's more chapters coming, and the same thing goes for you. We cannot take our story so seriously and so personal that we only identify with the story and not giving the opportunity to write a new chapter for our story. So with that would be my advice with the struggles. Perfect timing. So I'm really glad that you all are here. As you know, today, depending on where you're watching, this is the series finale of Wisdom Unveiled Q&A sessions with Bernard Alvarez. I would like to share with you something, and I'm going to need my reading glasses. Or maybe not. And like I said, I like to change things up every year. I like to change things up. I like to have a theme, and I like to have a focus and an inspiration. And I do it by I do it by reading your comments, getting your DMs, reading your DMs, and all of that stuff when you send me stuff, your comments during the shows. And one of the things that I've noticed that is still happening, can you believe it's still happening, that people are just afraid to talk about the shadow self? I don't get it. I don't get it. They think the shadow is evil, or it's darkness, or it's things that we should be repressing. And of course, we are made up of both. I was using the tree of life as an image Well, I got the image of the tree of life in my mind, and from Keter to Benai, and I forgot what the other one's called. I don't know all the names by heart, but how it splits into light and darkness, positive and negative. There is contrast in our life. There are always going to be contrast in our life. So what I've done is, my new campaign starting August 6th is going to be shadow and light. That will be the theme for the next year. Embracing the shadow and illuminating the light. So, what I would like to do is tell you and invite you to my latest campaign, which will be starting on August 6th. This is going to be a profound journey into exploring the depths of our being, embracing both the light and the shadow within each of us. Okay. Uh, I aim to provide tools, insights, practices to help us heal, to empower, and to live authentically and living a fulfilling life. First thing is this podcast, which will be, my podcast is usually the first Tuesday of the month. The new podcast is going to be called Shadow. We're going to dive deep into the hidden and often repressed aspects of our psyche with this new podcast. Each episode is going to guide us through thoughtful discussions and explorations to the darker sides of human nature, helping us to acknowledge, to understand, and integrate these aspects so that we can have a more balanced self. Uncovering the shadow is a very powerful step toward personal transformation and holistic healing. No more repressing. And then next, I do the classes every month. They're micro classes. I'm acknowledging they're micro classes. So we're going to call that the light. And continuing my commitment to personal growth, I'm going to continue to offer micro classes focusing on the light. I'm going to teach you shamanic, magical, energetic, and earth-based practices designed to enhance your well-being. We're going to learn how to harness positive energies, practice mindfulness, and cultivate inner peace. Each class is going to be a step toward embracing our full potential and living a life of empowerment and joy. And then, of course, we'll have the interactive virtual pagan Sabbaths. That's not going to end. I'm going to tweak them a little bit, actually tweak them a lot. Of course, we're going to celebrate the cycle of the seasons with our virtual pagan Sabbaths held throughout the year. I want to continue to provide a communal space for spiritual practice and connection within our community. I want us to be able to engage in these ancient traditions, honor the earth, be able to join with a like-minded community and celebrating these rhythms of nature. Our Sabbaths are going to offer a blend of ceremonies, storytelling, hands-on activities that nurture both the soul and the spirit. And with that, I would like to share with you the promo. These are the promos. So you're going to be the first one, the premiere of the promos. These haven't been released yet. They'll probably be released little by little throughout the week. But since you're watching the series finale today, I'm going to go ahead and share with you the promo for the Shadow and Light campaign, the Shadow podcast, the Light microclasses, and our virtual pagan Sabbaths. I hope you enjoy it.
Discover the balance within. Join Bernard Alvarez on a transformative journey of self-discovery. Explore the shadow. Illuminate the light. Heal. Empower. Balance. Embrace your true self with the Bernard Alvarez channel. New podcast, Shadow. Monthly microclasses, The Light. Interactive virtual pagan Sabbaths. Subscribe and join the journey.
Dive deep into the hidden and often repressed aspects of your psyche with our new podcast, Shadow. Each episode will guide you through thoughtful discussions and explorations of the darker sides of human nature, helping you to acknowledge, understand, and integrate these aspects into a more balanced self. Uncovering the shadow is a powerful step towards personal transformation and holistic healing. Explore, uncover, and understand your shadow with Bernard Alvarez. Subscribe on YouTube or Facebook.
Illuminate your path. Join Bernard Alvarez each month for enlightening microclasses that empower your light. Expand your consciousness. Embrace shamanic wisdom. Unlock the power of magic. Connect with Earth's energy. Empower your human experience with Bernard Alvarez. Subscribe now and join the journey.
Do you yearn to celebrate the changing seasons and connect with your pagan path, but finding a coven can be difficult? We offer virtual pagan Sabbath celebrations. Join us from the comfort of your own home and connect with a like-minded community. Learn about and celebrate the 8 Sabbaths. Participate in guided rituals, meditations, and spells. Deepen your connection with nature and the divine. Each virtual Sabbath is filled with meaningful talks, interactive activities, time for reflection, live chat with other participants. No matter your experience level, you're welcome. Find solace, connection, and celebrate the Earth's magic with us. Subscribe on YouTube or Facebook today.
And there you go. You got the sneak peek of all the promos. God, what was that? 4 promos that we made? Anyway, I love them. They came out pretty damn good. I'm pretty impressed. Thank you to those of you who helped me, including my guides. Anyway, so what I'd like you to know is that we will be doing our summer solstice celebration next week. So you will be seeing the event pages for that on my Facebook page as well as my YouTube live tab. So be prepared. We're going to be doing that. After that, I will be taking a hiatus until August 6th when we premiere the new podcast, Shadow. And I'll give it to you since you're the first ones watching. Our first topic is going to be what is the shadow? And we're going to cover 2 things. What is the shadow, and what emotions are you repressing? What emotions are you repressing? It's important to bring all that stuff out. I remember recently I was at an Al-Anon meeting, and a woman said, a woman sitting next to me who I love dearly, she's actually my service sponsor. She trains me on how to do service. But she said, when things, I know that when I look at the icky stuff within me, I can't let it sit there and fester. I got to let it rise to the surface like a boil so I can clarify and cleanse it. So all these things that we've been stuffing down, that is what blocks us from living a fully authentic life. So I look forward to seeing you all next week for our summer solstice celebration. And for those of you down under, winter solstice. And for everybody else, thank you all so much for being a part of this journey for Wisdom Unveiled. And I look forward to seeing you on the other side for the Shadow podcast, the light microclasses, and of course our continued pagan Sabbaths. I'll see you next week for the summer solstice. I love you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.